Beck and welcome to my spoiler-free review for Mislaid in Parts Half Known by Sean Maguire. And in this one we follow Antsy, and we initially met Antsy in the book before this called The Shop Where the Lost Things Go. In this book, however, Antsy is the latest student at Eleanor West's School for Wayward Children, and she has found her way there because she can find anything. But it's because of this ability that Antsy realizes that she can't stick around the school, so she ends up leaving with a group of friends in tow, and they go on a semblance of a quest. In this novella, temptations are dangled, decisions are reinforced, and at some point we encounter dinosaurs. Overall, as the latest installment in the Wayward Children series, I did enjoy it, but there were parts of it that were flawed to me, and at some points in this story it just felt like it was the stepping stone in order to get to, I believe, the final book in the series. For a novella, I wanted a bit more of a clear focus and direction, but this seemed quite disjointed because there were so many characters, and while I did enjoy seeing a lot of them again, it did feel disjointed because all of them were pursuing variations of their own doorways or their own future paths or purposes, and they were trying to reconcile their own identities with their magical capabilities versus what they were going to do next. And so because of all of this, it kind of lost its focus at certain points of the story, except for later on when a key character from the previous book, Hudson, was mentioned. So that gave the story a bit of a focus and direction. But before this quest involving Hudson kicked in, it felt a little bit all over the place. We've also been promised a book about a character called Cade for such a long time, and in this book there were mentions of Cade's doorway and world, and it seemed so fleeting that to have all of this promise lead up to this point, if that's the only snippet that we're going to get about Cade's world, it didn't seem like it was doing that promise a service, and it seemed very flippant as well. It was almost squished into the story like it was ticking off a list, like, oh yeah, I've promised Cade's world and story, here is a little bit of insight that no one really lingers on, and now we're moving on. So it felt like a ticking of a box exercise rather than, hey, this is what we're going to experience and sit in and discuss and ruminate on. It wasn't like that at all. It was very fleeting. And like I said before, there were a few other side characters that we recognize, and things were happening with them and to them that seemed like mini conclusions to their own questions and stories. And it felt like, again, more of a, okay, this is a character I'd set up in the past, here are some loose threads, I'm just going to tick a few boxes while we're here. And it didn't feel like it was doing a lot of service. If I wanted more detail like that, I would have wanted this to be a full-length book rather than being a novella, because it just did not seem like there was enough space to be distracted by all of these other characters when we're supposed to be focusing on Antsy and where the lost things go and someone's purpose and why they are trying to find that purpose. Also, because this book felt like a patchwork of other characters, you couldn't really start here and read it as a standalone in the same way that you could really do that with the other books. This felt like it was very much a connected continuation of a series rather than being a bit of a snippet and ironically a doorway into someone's story. All of the other novellas in the series so far kind of function in that way, but this one really didn't, and it really hit home about how this was a setup book specifically for Sumi. This felt like it fleshed out her as a side character, and it was setting up for her to potentially be the final book. And I was like, I'm not here for Sumi necessarily. She's a nonsense, chaotic side character. I want to hear about Antsy, and I want to dig more into what she is investigating and what her purpose is. So again, it felt disjointed. What I did like though is that Sumi is very much formidable, but also supportive very deeply of all of her friends and of pretty much the right causes morally. And so I liked seeing that support, and I liked seeing the found family elements that are always prevalent in these novellas. So that was a nice breath of fresh air that was very consistent throughout the entire novella, which I really appreciated. And while some people might be annoyed by some of the dialogue and the side characters, I liked seeing them again. I was just frustrated that we weren't focusing mostly on Antsy. So while I was frustrated at some points, I also did enjoy seeing all those other characters again. So it was a very up and down feeling for me. I was very conflicted. It felt like I was two sides of a coin. There was also more of an element of world building rather than the magic just being scattered and it is what it is. And I liked that piece of knowledge that we got given and how it was reinforced throughout the story. Obviously, I can't say what it is because, you know, we are far into the series by now, but I really enjoyed seeing that fleshed out a little bit more, and as a result there were consequences for actions, which I really liked too. In the end, you probably wouldn't expect me to rate this 4 stars, but I honestly did really enjoy it, and I liked a lot of the dialogue and the key messages in this story. I definitely got caught up in the magic and the whimsy of the world. Like I get caught up in every novella, it was very nostalgic going back into this world in this tone and this writing style. But what did me a bit of a disservice was the fact that this book has a dinosaur on the front cover and we were barely shown any of that world whatsoever. So I felt like the cover was a marketing tactic, which definitely worked on me because I love dinosaurs. So that was a bit disappointing. I was like, you promised a dinosaur world. Why would you market it so strongly if it's like a tiny percentage of the book? That felt like it was a bit of a gimmick. Anyway, I could probably give this a 3 because of the varying frustrations and disappointments and kind of undermining quality of some of the key aspects of this story. But I did really like the integrity and the hope and the characters all coming back together again. So like I said, the magic of this story really boosted it for me, and so did the key messaging. So that's why I'm sitting on my rating of 4 stars instead of 3. As always, I am keen to see where the next installment takes us. So if you are going to read this book or if you've already read it, please let me know what you think. I'll come and chat to you down below in the comments, but thank you so much for watching this video. I'll chat to you down below and I'll see you in my next one. Bye.